Namaste, World Raisers. Bina and Roger here. Today we're going to watch The Eternal Principle with Joseph Campbell, a request by our world yogi, Taj.
Yeah, looking forward to this. So I do know Joseph Campbell. The very beginning of my spiritual journey, I recorded, I think it was right on PBS. It was like right on TV, and I recorded with the VHS. The Power of Myth. It was like a special on TV, and I recorded it. It was like an hour and a half long, and I listened to it like so many times because it was talking about a lot of things I had never even heard of way back then. So
When was it? Before David Hawkins or after? Or
it was before, yeah.
Oh, even before.
Yeah. And he was talking about cosmic principles. He was talking about Shiva and Shakti and all, and the divine Leela and the play and all sorts of stuff, planting imprints and seeds. So
Was it before you started your spiritual journey, or
it was right at the very beginning. Yeah.
so right at the beginning? So this was like one of the first spiritual teachings that you came across then?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know. So this was a nice fun fact for me too. I read a little bit too because once I did a course with Miles Neal, but I've never heard him speak. Yeah.
Cool. So should we cut right to the chase about the word myth, right? So even though he's using the power of myth, and it comes up a lot when he's talking, that's just the gateway, right? So we know once you become spiritual and then you dive into these teachings more and more, you realize that no, it's not a myth, right? It's truth, but it gets you in, right? So let's let go of the word myth. It's not positive or negative, it's just a word. Hopefully it's pointing you in the right direction.
Cool, I'm looking forward to that. If you want to support us, then please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy.
What's the eternal principle?
Yeah, what is it?
Brahman.
Which
Brahman.
is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it, you see.
It is the experience of the eternity.
Yeah.
The experience of the eternal.
As what you are,
Yes.
I would say.
That whatever eternity is here right now.
Or nowhere else. Or everywhere else. If you don't experience it now, you're never going to get it. Because when you get to heaven, that's not eternal, that's just everlasting. Heaven lasts a long time. It's not eternal, it's everlasting.
I don't follow that now.
The eternal is beyond time. The concept of time shuts out eternity.
Yeah.
Time is our invention.
Our experience, yeah. But the ultimate, unqualified mystery is beyond human experience. It becomes inflected. As they say, there is a condescension on the part of the infinite to the mind of man, and that is what looks like God.
So whatever it is we experience, we have to express in language that is just not up to the occasion.
That's it. That's what poetry's for.
Oh, yeah.
Poetry is a language that has to be penetrated. It doesn't shut you off. It opens. It's the rhythm, the precise choice of words that will have implications and suggestions that go past the word is what has to happen. And then you get what Joyce calls the radiance, the epiphany.
Yeah, pointers.
The epiphany is the showing through of the essence, what Aquinas called the quidditas, the whatness. The whatness is the Brahman.
What it isness?
Yeah.
Why do you think it is there is in so many people this deep yearning to live forever, to secure my place in heaven?
When you realize what heaven is, in the works of such a person as Thomas Aquinas, it is the beholding of the beatific image of God, which is a timeless moment. You know, time explodes. So again, eternity is not something everlasting. And you can have it right here now in your relationships. I've lost a lot of friends, my parents and all. And a realization that has come to me very, very keenly is that I haven't lost them.
Mm.
That moment when I was with them had an everlasting quality about it that is now still with me. What it gave me is still with me. And there's a kind of intimation of immortality in that. Do you see what I mean? Now, there's a wonderful work of Schopenhauer's. He says, when you reach a certain age, and he wrote this when he was, say, in his 60s or so, and look back over your life, it seems to have had an order. It seems to have been composed by someone.
Nice.
And those events that, when they occurred, seemed merely accidental and occasional and just something that happened, turn out to be the main elements in a consistent plot. So he says, who composed this plot? And he said, and just as your dreams are composed by an aspect of yourself of which your consciousness is unaware, so your whole life has been composed by the will within you. Then he says, just as those people whom you met by chance became effective agents in the structuring of your life, so you have been an agent in the structuring of other lives. And the whole thing gears together like one big symphony, he says, everything influencing and structuring everything else. And he said, it's as though our lives were the dream of a single dreamer in which all the dream characters are dreaming too. And so everything links to everything else, moved out of the will in nature. It's a beautiful idea. It's an idea that occurs in India in the image of what's called the net of Indra, or the net of gems. It's a net of gems where every gem reflects all the other ones.
Oh, another treat. Wow.
Yeah, Indra's net. I remember him talking about that. Yeah, in the power of myth, right? Just, yeah, so, yeah, Indra. So it's like a web. So a web, picture a web like in the morning with like dew on it, right? So little teeny tiny bubbles everywhere. And each bubble, if you look at one of the, water bubbles, the dew, you can see all of the other bubbles in that bubble, right? So it's like within my consciousness, and then I look out into the world and I can perceive all of the other consciousnesses are part of my consciousness, right?
I don't quite, it's too much. Can you explain it somehow?
Well, it's all interconnected. So then in my dream is everybody else is within it, and they each have their own dream, but their dream is part of my dream, right? So there's one dreamer, right? So there's an infinite field of consciousness, and then every being who has consciousness within that, is part of the bigger consciousness, right? So very similar as to, of course, Krishna's divine play, the Brahman, and then the Atman, and Atman is Brahman, right? So there's one infinite source of the consciousness, and everything within it is part of that. So very much non-duality, right? So that's the eternal principle, right? So one source, we're all one, we're all part of it, and we just need to wake up and realize that, and really getting into the timelessness and what that means, right? Eternal, right? So our source, right? Our Atman, our soul, it's immortal, it's imperishable, it's timeless, it's beginningless. And then when he was talking about just how things happen within the dream, and then how there's a will, and then it's functioning, and how everything, when you look back on your life, you see how it's kind of all, been composed by, by a bigger divine plan. And then I truly see that, and how we're all interconnected, and how one cog links together, and then how, we're all influencing each other, right? Depending on what level of consciousness we're at, we're going to have an impact, no matter who we interact with, right? So why it's so important for, spiritual people to be spiritual, to be loving and kind, to understand oneness. And then that's kind of how it spreads, because So very much when he's talking about that, it's like dependent origination, right? So where nothing is causing anything, right? It's just a divine play. We're being run by our levels of consciousness, our modes of material nature, and then there's just one source, and then that's the display, and then the individuated expressions of that display are interacting with each other, but it's still just one ultimate display, and in this realm, this world, this earth, it's human beings are the main protagonists and antagonists of the story, right? We're all interacting with one another, and depending on karma and causes and conditions, we're gonna rise or descend, into other experiences and expressions of the one, manifestation. So, yeah, very, very cool.
Wow, when I first saw him, first I thought that it was him, but it is an interview. So this is, so the one with the glasses is Bill. And when I first saw Joseph, he reminded me right away of Alan Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly like him. No, this was beautiful. Look.
Yeah, totally. Pretty close,
With the
yeah.
hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, the Western masterminds. Beautiful.
Yeah, so once again, Western fellow, but of course he explored the Eastern teachings, right? And then that's where most of the divine wisdom and truth, stems from that, right? So
Same with Bentinho, Westerner, but the first teachings I received from him were from Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma. The 4 yogas, etc. And I'm just thinking, do we have like a Western teacher that we benefited from that did not have the background for Sanatana Dharma?
I don't think so.
Or pointed to Sanatana Dharma? I don't think so.
Because even Eckhart Tolle, very
Yeah.
much, Buddhism and Hinduism and Christianity. He had his own awakening and experience, but prior to that, totally, he was a spiritual seeker and he explored those teachings. And of course, David Hawkins as well. So he said when his profound awakening happened, when he transcended the ego, so we're talking full enlightenment, he said to this consciousness, the Bhagavad Gita at that time, boom, just hit him. It made total
David
sense.
Hawkins?
Yeah.
It was the Gita?
Yeah. Well, he
studied
many stuff. He just expressed that the Gita made total sense, and it was just clearly apparent that it's ultimate truth.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Fascinating.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you made it that far. Beautiful. Keep the suggestions coming, world yogis and mystics.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So if you like this video as much as we did, you know what to do. Let us know in the comments section. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. And the most important thing, if you want to experience eternity, is to raise yourself
and raise the world. Thank you so much, everyone. And a very special thank you to a world yogi, Taj. We love you.
Peace.
Amazing.
Yeah, great.
Amazing.